Let's speak now to Abdullah Baabood. He is the chair of the State of Qatar for Islamic Area Studies at Waseda University. He joins me now from Muscat. Abdullah, good to have you on the show. Let's analyze the situation. When Israel began its assault into Gaza at the beginning of October, it was essentially given a carte blanche by a number of Western countries. We are seeing that narrative change, especially with the warnings coming out of New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. How do you think this is likely to affect the situation, specifically Netanyahu's mindset, or is this going to have any effect at all?
Well, thank you. I believe that the Israeli allies and Western governments in particular has, as you correctly said, given Israel a carte blanche, and I don't think they really understood what Netanyahu was up to, and they didn't understand his mindset and his thinking and his brutal war that he's conducting or carrying out against the Palestinians. And it's going to be very difficult. Now they realize that these allies and the Western governments, as you correctly said, now they realize that this has gone beyond what they had expected, and they were already alarm bells ringing in many capitals around the world, and especially from his very close allies. However, Netanyahu really does not care for any of this, because what he particularly cares for is his own position within the Israeli government and basically his coalition within the government. And he knows that he can manipulate international pressure. He knows he can manipulate allies, and he is very creative in that sense, in manipulation of news and discourse. So I think it's going to be very difficult to convince him. I also believe, if you allow me, I also believe that he is also doing this because he wants to pressure Hamas to give in more than what they had demanded. So that may be another way of doing it. But I think what is needed now is for an international voice, although it's been coming from the United Nations, from allies, but also from the Middle Eastern countries. We've seen Turkey, Egypt, Qatar, and other Arab countries are pressurizing him as well, or trying to negotiate and trying to, have some kind of a dialogue that's taking place now in Cairo. But I think there is a scope that if this voice becomes louder, that he might listen. However, how could he listen at the same time when the United States is supplying him with arms and ammunition and funding? So it's a very complicated picture.
Abdullah, tell me this. I mean, but the fact of the matter is that he's even refusing to send his negotiating teams to Cairo. I mean, so that has to give you a very clear insight in terms of what his mindset is.
Absolutely. Well, the team, actually, I believe it's gone, but he had chosen to send his aide and to check that the head of the security does not have a free hand there. And basically, they had instructions not to agree to anything, but to listen. So basically, he is buying time, and he is manipulating his own government and his own coalition. And also, there's conflict within the his war cabinet as well.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, Abdullah. I'm sorry. I mean, you said that he only cares about his own position within his government. But, as you just alluded to, there are growing calls within the country to sort of asking him to reevaluate his situation. How does he balance that? Or does he have the ability to fend off international calls, but also sort of balance the delicate internal balance?
That's a very good question. He's very skillful at doing this, I'm afraid. But also, in addition to what you've just said in terms of the pressure, there is also public pressure, especially from the families of the hostages. However, I think he also has his own supporters, and especially the very right-wing Zionist groups, and they are supporting him, and they're not necessarily just within Israel, but also outside Israel. You know, he has media contacts, he has other supporters, political supporters around the world. You know, we've seen some Western supporters, you know, singing and dancing with the Israeli army, you know, celebrating the atrocities that the Israeli military is committing in Gaza. So he is not without his own supporters. I think he knows his strengths and he knows the weaknesses of the others, because he's basically, has a hold on them in a way, and especially the international allies, because at the end of the day, um, you know, they are in a sense supporting Israel, and they don't want to go and let him down as well. So he is calculating all of this. He's very manipulative, but I think the pressure is mounting, and you know, we've seen some positive signs, especially from his very closest allies. And it could be that he is just playing for time and trying to get Hamas to lower down their demands in terms of the numbers of prisoners exchange. And the more pressure he puts on them, he thinks that he can get them to do so. So, you know, he has the power, he has the international support, he has the military power. He feels that he is in the strongest position, and he doesn't want to give in to any of Hamas's demands.
You say he may be playing for time. I guess time will tell. All right. Abdullah Baabood, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. Do appreciate listening to your analysis.
Thank you very much.